Welcome to Hoop Talk Fanatics, episode number 23. I am here with Christopher Lewis, and we will be talking about this past Heat Celtics series and how it went down, and previewing game one of the NBA Finals between the Celtics and Warriors. So welcome, Chris, and happy to have you on.
Thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me on the show and everything. I appreciate it. It's an honor, man.
So what were your initial thoughts on the whole series?
My initial thoughts on the whole series was just that, for one, it was a. I'm not going to say it was a good series because there were times where it just wasn't good basketball being played by either team. But it was a very competitive series. I know there were blowouts and stuff, but it was a very physical series on both sides. I think that was good, but to be honest, the way both of those teams looked going to the finals, it might not be good for them. So, it was a competitive series, and most people probably won't say it was just because you had what I think it was maybe two or three 20-point blowouts, so 2 or 3 20-point blowouts or something like that. Or no, there was 2 20-point blowouts and a 13-point blowout. So I get that, but I think it was a competitive series, a physical series as well.
Mm-hmm. So what were your thoughts on last night's game, and how do you think Miami could have, what went wrong with Miami's playmaking, and what do you think that Alex Sportswa could have done better?
Yeah, so last night, I think what went wrong, if you when you watch the first half of the game or just any part of the game, but especially the first quarter, where Boston made a point to push the ball. They made a point to get fast break points and stuff like that. And so when Miami wasn't shooting well at all, Boston made a point of getting rebounds and getting up court. And I think where Spoelstra kind of went wrong in the first quarter, which it looked like it corrected itself in the second because they had 0 fast break points, but they had like 16 in the first quarter, was Miami was trying to get rebounds. They were trying to get rebounds as well rather than getting back on defense. And that hurt us because, like I said, they had 16 fast break points in the first quarter. And so we had got down to, what was it, maybe like a 15-point deficit in that first quarter. And we had to claw our way out. And it just looked like the whole game, we were playing catch up the whole game. And there were points and times where we cut the game down to maybe 2 points, and then Boston would go on another run. And when with Miami, like when you're going on these long, because it's a game of runs in basketball. So like when you're going on an 11-point run and you cut the game down to 2 points, it is most likely that run is going to stop, and then Boston's going to go on their run. And so then they extend the lead back again. And like I said, just the whole game, we were playing catch up. I don't know why Spo went away from PJ Tucker, like why he, benched PJ Tucker, because he only played like 17 minutes last night. Tyler Hero only played 7 minutes, and I guess that groin started aggravating him again. I don't know. But I really don't know what Spo could have done besides, like I said, stop trying to get back on, stop trying to get rebounds and then just get back on defense in that first quarter. But it corrected itself in the second quarter, but then we came out flat in the third again, and it just was another Boston run. Because I think before halftime, we got it down to like 5 points. Mm-hmm. And then coming out in the third, Boston just went on another run and got the lead back up to double digits.
I actually wanted to ask you what your thoughts were on that inbound where Jimmy Butler went for the 3 and missed. I think it was like with a minute left or something.
So are you talking about the one towards the end of the game when we were down by 2?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was like 17 seconds left actually, and I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I think Jimmy Butler could have attacked the basket. You know, he
Mhm.
was getting what he wanted at the basket the whole game. I think he could have attacked the basket. Al Horford was already backpedaling, so he wasn't. I mean, and I know that's what he was expecting Jimmy to do, was to attack the basket. But I think when you already have somebody on their heels and you just press them, like you push right at them, and
Mhm.
either you draw the foul, you make the basket and get an and one, or you just make the basket and tie the game up. Like, it's just, those things could happen. I didn't like the three. I mean, I get it. He was going for the win, but at the same time, there was 17 seconds left. I would have rather him, go and try to get the and one. And then that way you
Mhm.
get the lead from the free throw line, and then you leave Boston with like 13 seconds left to try to make a play. You put the hands in Jason Tate, or you put the ball in Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown's hands, and
Mhm.
just pressure them on defense. And then I think if that would have happened, we would be making the trip to the finals and not Boston.
What were your thoughts on Boston's head coach Ime Udoka?
Uh, he he did a phenomenal job this year. He did a phenomenal job this year with Boston. At the beginning of the season, I know a lot of people was questioning, is this Boston team really like, is this Boston team good? Because they were losing games, and it just looked like it would just look like it was a downfall for them this year,
Mhm.
or a free fall this year. And like people was saying, get rid of Jaylen Brown, get rid of Justin Tatum or Jason Tatum, trade one of them because they can't play
Mhm.
together. And Udoka, he turned things around. He had them boys playing defense, um, and it was amazing. Like, he had a phenomenal season. Like, he did his thing, and he made some great adjustments throughout this playoff run as well, to get his team in position to make it to the finals.
So do you think the Celtics are capable of beating the Warriors?
I think they are. Now, will they? No. But I think they are capable, but they have to play very consistent basketball.
Mhm.
The thing with Jason Tatum and with Jaylen Brown, um, everybody, we all have seen where they're not consistent.
Mhm.
Um, and Tatum will go out and he'll shoot phenomenal one game, and then the next game, yeah, he may have like 20 something points, but it's taking him like 23 shots or something
Mhm.
like that. And him and Jalen can never seem to get on the same page as far as scoring wise, where both of them, do what we know they're capable of doing. So I think in order for them to beat Golden State, they have to be on their A game. Like, they really do have to be on their A game. And the sad thing is, we've seen Boston's best basketball. We still haven't seen Golden State's best brand of basketball yet. And we know what we know they're capable of. So that's what's scary for me with the Boston Celtics going into this series, is just because Golden State, they're back to where they've been the past
Yeah.
6 years or whatever. They're back
Mhm.
there, and we know what kind of brand of basketball they can play, and they're capable of it, especially when Clay get his legs back. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm very interested to see how Jordan Poole plays in Game One. He's been a big asset to that squad this year.
Yeah, for sure he has. And he hasn't even, like, last series, he hasn't even really like shown up yet. So
Mhm.
he's due. I think he's due for a game or two. I'm interested to see how he plays this series as well. Um, and game one, I'm interested to see what he does and how he comes out. But I think he'll show up.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I think if Boston wins the first two games, then they win the series.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, and I can see that, but I think they're gonna have a hard time winning in Golden State, because
Yeah.
that arena is gonna be electric. Like, they're
Yeah.
gonna be loud. Um, it's the first playoff run through the Chase Center, the first
Mhm.
their first finals since being in that new arena. in the Chase Center, so that crowd is going to be crazy.
Mhm.
But both of these atmospheres, the TD Garden the Garden and then Chase Center, both of those, atmospheres are going to be crazy for the finals. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Mhm. So my next question is, getting a little off topic from the finals, but once free agency arrives in August, what do you expect Miami to do?
So I've actually been talking about that on my timeline today. So it's right on target. I you know, Personally, what I want them to do is to go out and get another star.
Mhm.
I don't know how Pat Riley will make it work, but we've seen Pat Riley do a lot of things. And we've scratched our heads, like, how's Pat Riley gonna pull this off? And he pulls it off somehow. So what I would love to see Miami do is to go get a Bradley Beal or a Zach LaVine this offseason. Now with Bradley Beal, it'll probably be a sign and trade for sure. And who do we give up in that package? It's probably be Duncan Robinson, maybe Tyler Hero, um, you know, some picks or something, send that to Washington,
Mhm.
to the Wizards. But that's what I would love to see, us add another star to this team. We know what Jimmy Butler brings. We know what Bam brings. I would love to see Bam bring it more consistently, but we know what he brings to the table. Um, and so if you add like a Bradley Beal to that mix, like, the sky's the limit for that team, in my opinion.
So what do you think about this upcoming NBA draft, and who do you think Miami will get?
So I have to hold on. Give me a second, because I have to look up to see where Miami picks at. Let me see. Give me a second. Because I don't know if we have a yeah. So we have one first round pick, but what is the actual pick number? Because I know we hold on. I don't know why it's so hard to find basketball picks. Okay, so we have the 27th overall pick.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know who would really be there. Um, Really, if I'm looking at how our team is currently constructed, I would think they would go after a guard or a center.
Mhm.
Because Bam is 6'9" and he's our center. Um, so I mean, we have a pretty small center. Um, but if we could get a big that could be a anchor, um, I think that will help, and then kind of move Bam back to the power forward position. I mean, I know basketball is really it's going to towards positionless basketball at this point, but
Mhm.
or even like a big to that would be consistent when Bam goes out, like when he goes out to take a breather or whatever. And you get a big in there that can come in and give us some really good minutes. And I mean, we do have Omer Yurtseven. Um, but I think we need something else at that center position. Or another guard, as far as like a shooting guard. Because like I said, if we get rid of Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero this offseason, then we're going to need somebody else that can come in and, score some buckets off the bench or something like that. I mean, granted, we still have Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, but um, yeah, I would go guard or center for us personally. As far as names, I'm not 100% sure yet, because I haven't really dove into like all of that yet. And I mean, I
Yeah.
watch college basketball, but I mostly wait until um, March Madness and stuff to really get into it.
Mhm. So one more question. This doesn't have to do with Miami, but like every time I get a guest on, I want their perspective on how the Sixers did this year, and And since I'm a Philly fan, I wanted to ask you what you think of their run and if you thought Embiid was the MVP.
Yeah. So personally, I had Jokic winning MVP. I had said that before they even announced the awards. Now that takes nothing away from what Embiid did, because Embiid was amazing this season. I mean,
Yeah.
Embiid, he proved he could stay healthy for the majority of the season. Um, and I mean, he balled out. Like I take nothing away from Embiid, and you definitely know that's Embiid's team. Like we all know that, and they're going to go as far as he can carry them. Um, but I think that I think what kind of hurt y'all this year is when y'all traded for James Harden. And I know Morey wanted to get James Harden, and the only reason I say that is because you kind of depleted some areas that y'all needed in the postseason.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, what's the I can't think of the dude's name right now.
Tyrese, Tyrese
Tyrese
Maxey.
Maxey.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he was amazing as well this year. I think this is his second year or something in the league, but
Yeah.
he was very like he did very good in the playoffs. Like he balled out in the playoffs, but you missed that 3-point shooting that you would get from a Seth Curry.
Hmm.
You missed those minutes that you would get from what's the big dude y'all traded to the Nets when y'all got rid of Ben Simmons? Drummond. You missed those
Drummond.
minutes from
Yeah.
Drummond where Joel Embiid would go out. Yeah. Where Joel Embiid would go out and rest. And I mean, um, and I think if y'all had those players, I think maybe y'all beat Miami. But
Hmm.
also Joel Embiid, he was beat up this postseason as well. I mean, he had the finger issue, the thumb issue, the orbital fracture, and,
Hmm.
and all of that. So he was pretty beat up in that series against Miami. And James Harden, I'm not going to say he's cooked, because he's not, but I think he's on his last leg. Like he's going to get this contract and probably be done. But you can tell he's lost a step. You can tell he's not the same anymore. He's not the Harden from Houston. And granted, he doesn't have to be that, but if you're getting like a super max, which I expect Philly to give him, they expect you to be the second superstar behind Joel Embiid. And you have to be not the guy from Houston, but you have to show you got to give me more than 15 points as the second superstar. You got to give me at least 25. Um, and is he capable of that? Maybe. I don't know, but we'll see this next season coming up.
How long do you think Doc Rivers will be the coach?
I honestly thought y'all were gonna fire Doc Rivers after the season, so I really don't know. I thought he was out of there after the season, but apparently he was able to save his job somehow. But I don't know, man, because what the whole Philly trust the process thing has been going on for like the past, I don't know, 5-6 years or something like that. Trust the process. And Philly still hasn't gotten over the hump yet. And it doesn't look like the Eastern Conference is getting any easier. You still have the Bucks, who are still right there. I
Hmm.
expect the Nets to be better next year, especially with Kyrie being able to play full time. And hopefully KD stays healthy. And then whatever happens with Ben Simmons, I don't know. Um, so I expect the Nets to be better next year. I expect the Bucks to be right back next year. Celtics ain't going nowhere. I don't think Miami's going anywhere. And then you still have some of these younger teams like Charlotte, Atlanta, and some of these other teams that are still up and coming in the Eastern Conference. So I I, I don't. I think if there's another if there's another failed year where Philly doesn't make it to the championship, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to make
Hmm.
it to the finals and win the finals. And I think if there's another year or two where Philly doesn't make it, I think Doc is out,
Hmm.
because this
So,
process has been taking forever.
so let's say he gets fired in the next 2 years or something like that. Who do you think will come in as the alternative head coach?
Um, let's see. I really don't know. I would love to see Mark Jackson get another shot at coaching.
Mhm.
You know, he built that Warriors team to pretty much what it is or what it was before Kerr took over and had those, successful runs.
Mhm.
So I would love to see Mark Jackson get another opportunity at coaching. Um, who else is really out there? Um, what's the coach from? He's an assistant coach, but I think he coached in Toronto. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries to, or like if they tried to pick Nick Nurse, if they tried to go
Mhm.
after Nick Nurse from Toronto. But I know there's an assistant coach up there in Toronto. I forget his name, but if they went after him, um, that's just a few names. But I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tried to pick off Nick Nurse and throw
Mhm.
some money at him to get him out of Toronto, and maybe that Philly would be the next stop for him. And I think that'd be an amazing pickup for y'all. I think Nick Nurse is a phenomenal coach, man.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting once free agency comes and to see what moves they do with their offensive system. And I think that Miami and Philly is going to be in the dogfight for Bradley Beal.
They probably will, like 100%. They will be in a dogfight for Bradley Beal because I think he's going to be the
Yeah.
most coveted free agent this offseason.
Plus, they've been nonstop talking about it for the past year, and
Mm-hmm.
they still haven't made the move. And I think if they grab him and have him playing alongside Tyrese and Embiid, it will be a much different squad than this past year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and at that point, you would pretty. I mean, you would have your big three for sure, and James Harden,
Mhm.
Bradley Beal, and Joel Embiid. That would be you all's big three, and then you throw Tyrese Maxey in the mix. If he continues the trajectory that he's on right now, yeah,
Mhm.
that's that team right there. The sky's the limit for that team, man.
And I also like Niang coming off the bench for the Sixers.
He
I
just got
think
to get better at shooting.
yeah, I would rather keep him and trade Korkmaz.
Yeah,
I think Korkmaz is not as great as he was in the previous years.
yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So thank you so much for hopping on, and I'll I'll definitely have you back on uh, down the road to recap the draft or start of the season.
Oh, no problem, man. Like I said, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. And anytime, man, anytime, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.